Tandem Nomads, episode 143. Things did not go as planned, and there were some really tough times. But here's what I've learned from the past year and what I want to celebrate with you for the Tandem Nomads 4th anniversary. Hello, Nomad Nation. Welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great inspiration and tips to grow a successful portable business and thrive in your global nomadic life. This is your host, Amel Deragi. I'm a business and marketing coach and the founder of Tandem Nomads. Tandem Nomads, who's celebrating this week its 4th anniversary. I'm so excited. I can't believe how time is flying, and we're already reaching the 4th anniversary of Tandem Nomads. So for this episode, I am going to share with you the retrospective of the past year. There's been so much happening in 4 years, but the past year has been so crucial in Tandem Nomads world. So what I'm going to share with you here are the goals that I've been setting up for Tandem Nomads in 2019, what has really happened with those goals, what changes I decided to make, what worked and what we can celebrate, and also what are the goals for next year, 2020. The reason I'm sharing this with you is first of all, to be honest with you, for me to have a trace. I do journaling, I do have some notes, but one thing that I loved by listening previous episodes of Tandem Nomads that I've done that, I found it so helpful for me to go back in time and listen to my voice and my emotions as I share with you my journey. So while it helps me, I still want to make sure to give you as much insights as possible to help you in your journey by sharing my experience, and hopefully it will be inspiring for you too. I will be sharing with you all these tips and the journey, and I'm going to try to be as authentic and honest with you because there are some amazing things that I want to celebrate with you for this 4th anniversary, and I'm really excited. But there are also some tough realities that I've been experiencing and kind of emotional, and I have to say that I'm even hesitating as I'm speaking about should I share about this or not. But I want to be as transparent as possible because I want you to know that this is real life. You know, entrepreneurship is real life. It comes with the ups and downs. I say it all the time, and I'm no exception to that. So I want to share that with you because I've heard so many times, oh my God, Amel, you've got it all figured out. And I might have done a great job at growing my business, at learning from my experiences, but I don't have it all figured out. For sure not. It's a continuous learning curve. So I'm going to share that with you. Before we go any further in this episode, I would like to take a moment to, first of all, thank all of you who are joining us for the first time. I hope that this episode will help you to get to know Tandem Nomads a little better and also stay with us as we move on our journey and grow together. And if you've been a long-time listener of Tandem Nomads, oh my God, please take my virtual hug here because I want to thank you so much for being part of this journey of Tandem Nomads. It is thanks to you that we are here at this 4th year anniversary, and I do want to celebrate with you, and I want to thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Your time and your attention means the world to me, and that is why I want to offer you a gift, a special gift to celebrate Tandem Nomads 4th anniversary with you. I want to hop on a call with all of you who are listening on a regular basis so that I can support you and answer any questions you might have. By organizing this call, I would like to have this opportunity to thank you for being such a great member of our community and a great listener of Tandem Nomads, and connect with those of you who are interested in having a discussions around your own goals so that I can share with you some tips and maybe other members who are listening could share with you their tips. So if you're interested in joining this virtual call that will probably take place in November 26th of 2019, then I highly recommend you to go to this webpage of this episode and sign up in order to get all the details. So go to tandemnomads.com/143 and I will let you know about how you can join this virtual call. It's more about celebrating together and putting a face behind each of you and really connecting. For me, it's really important that we build a relationship together, that I get to know you. And I thought, what better than offering you a free workshop where we can work together on your goals for 2020. There will be no slides. It's not about presentation. I won't be selling anything. It's only about connecting with each other and celebrating together Tandem Nomads' 4th anniversary. So go to tandemnomads.com/144 and sign up to register for this group call and get all the information of how to join us. And let me now get started with sharing with you what has happened in the past year, but I'm going to start with the goals that I've set up for Tandem Nomads for 2019. I will share them with you very transparently, and you will then be able to see what I did manage to achieve and where things really went wrong. I have already shared with you 2 episodes this year, what I've been giving you a little sneak peek in the back scene of Tandem Nomads and what was going on. So if you've been listening to the episode 98, I have announced that I had to pause the podcast show, and I will share with you some things that I did not say in this episode later on. But if you want to check that out, you can check the Tandem Nomads episode 98 or find the link on the show notes of this episode where you can find it more easily. So in that episode, I had made the announcement of the fact that I was going to pause the show and explained why. And then in episode 99, I came to you with the relaunch of Tandem Nomads and the back scene of what has happened in between and what were the goals of Tandem Nomads. So I don't need to go too much in details there. But I'm just going to remind them for you very shortly so that you can have a little bit of a perspective, and then I can share with you what has worked and what has not worked and what I've learned from this whole process. So I was really excited. In October 2018, I came to you and announced all the goals for 2019, like I'm going to do it this time. And I was really, really excited because I knew that was going to be a big moment in Tandem Nomads. We're going to finally take the platform to the next level, and I was so excited. And I also explained you one of my major goals, which was scaling in order to be able to serve more people and also get closer to that big vision that I have for Tandem Nomads down the road, which is becoming, as we grow, more of a company than a one-person show. This is something that I'm not in a rush for. I want to take my time, but at some point, I do want Tandem Nomads to become a company and not just a one-person show. So I've shared that big goal with you, and I've shared how I was planning to get there. And I've based everything on my method that I call the 3 C's. The first C is clarity, the second one consistency, and the third one is conversion. So here are the goals I had for the 3 C's. The first one, in terms of clarity, I needed and I realized that Tandem Nomads had 3 segments, 3 type of people who listen to the show, but also who need some kind of guidance to build their portable business. The first segment was those who are looking for a business but don't know what. The second one, those who have a business idea but are not sure what to do next. And those who have a business but are still struggling to take it to the next level, or it's going well, but they either want to make it more portable or want to scale it and take it to the next level like I'm trying to do on my own. So these were the 3 segments of Tandem Nomads, and I've been making sure to have clarity about that and slowly build a system and a platform that allows me to support these 3 different segments in an effective way. So I've been really working on that in 2019. Regarding consistency, there were 2 big goals. The first one was to have more episodes that bring and show my expertise in marketing and bring more real guidance and practical guidance to be able to implement those tips for those of you who listen, so that my free content can really be actionable for you. So I've been sharing more marketing tips through my episodes, and I've been alternating guest shows versus just solo shows with me focused on marketing. So we had 1 week an inspiring story with a guest, and then 1 week more practical tips in marketing. That was the goal regarding consistency. But here where it was the biggest challenge and the big goal I've set myself to do in terms of consistency, it was to move the show from every 2 weeks to a weekly podcast show. That was a big, big change that I've set to make in the content of Tandem Nomads and its consistency. Then regarding conversion, as I was mentioning, I was having this very important goal, which was to be able to serve more clients and be able to scale and launch Tandem Nomads Academy with its online courses. So these were Tandem Nomads goals for 2019. And if you want more details, you can listen to the podcast episode 99 where I explain everything in detail. But after that episode, oh my God, things just went south, and I've just had one setback after the other. It was one of the most challenging times for me in business. I have to be completely honest with you. I really struggled. So the first big issue I had, it was tech issues. Between December and January, right after I've announced my goals for 2019, I cannot explain you how many tech issues I had one after the other. One thing I did not say is that among my consistency goals, I also, on top of making it a weekly podcast show, I've decided to add a blog post to every episode. So every marketing episode will also exist as a blog. And also I've decided to create videos. So to create videos and then transform them into podcast episodes. So the video process of extracting the audio from my videos and then putting them on the show was so hectic. I struggled so much with it, and the quality was really not there. The quality of the content was great. I had a lot of good feedbacks about that, especially as the videos were going with their blog posts. A lot of people loved it, and I loved the feedback. But personally, it was just so hectic to make it happen, and it just tripled the time of production. And that just was so exhausting. And then the biggest tech issue I had is that the website just crushed. I have lost the website. It's good that I had backups and that I have a tech team who supports my website. But even them, they were so surprised that my website would just crush with no explanation. I've never been superstitious, but because this has happened among other issues I'm going to talk to you about, I started wondering if I was not cursed, to be honest with you. So having your website crush, it's kind of serious because you don't know if you're going to be able to recuperate all the content that you've been building for 3 years. So I was really worried, and that source of stress just killed me. But on top of it, here is the second thing that happened. So while we were transitioning November 2018, and I announced my goals, that was a time when my VA, the person I was working with for 3 years, has decided to step back because she was having a baby. So she had announced in advance that she was going to take her maternity leave and that I will have to find a solution. And that was not really the perfect timing because I was going to have to double the amount of episodes I produce every year. And so I'm so grateful that she told me in advance, and that was great because then we managed to plan the transition. I found somebody to take over, and everything was planned really well. It was all good, right? But suddenly things went downhill there too. So while the website crashed, the person I hired after spending weeks working with her and getting her accustomed to Tandem Nomads systems, decided to quit as well. And at the moment where it was really not the right time for me because I was already overwhelmed with the quantity of work I had, let's not forget that I do have clients to take care of, so I need to focus on them while I build this content and my platform. And you know that it is important for me to stay consistent. I want to make sure that my podcast show is consistent. If I say I'm going to show up every week, I have to show up every week. And this is very important for me because that's where, I make the difference between having a hobby and having a business. And so that just did not go very well. The level of stress just doubled while the website crashed. Under normal circumstances, honestly, you would tell me, Amel, what's the big deal? So what? Your website crashes and you have to find a new person. So what? You just, whatever. But I have to tell you that this has happened while I was also going through some personal challenges. And I'm kind of very, very nervous about sharing this with you because as much as I want to share my personal journey, sometimes it is hard to talk about personal issues. And for me, the only reason I'm doing it now is because I want you to realize that we're all in the same boat. And I'm pretty sure that you're in the same situation where you have to handle personal life and business and you can't separate it when you have your own business. It's really difficult to separate those two. So I'm just going to summarize what has happened during that time. If you remember in episode 98, I've announced that I was going to pause. And there was 2 reasons on top of the reasons I mentioned in the episode. The first one is that my father was going through some really difficult times in terms of his health and he's still sick, and what has happened is that he has lost his motricity. He is completely handicapped, and it had created a lot of tensions, a lot of worries, a lot of sleepless nights. And that has been going on for many years, but the peak of the worry has reached at that point. And also supporting him because he was not doing well. He was not happy, and my mom was not happy. And that was really hard to support my family while I was so far away, and it caused a lot of stress. And it was not helping with all the rest that was happening. But also, one thing that I'm really very private about is my relationship with my husband. So my husband and I have been trying really hard to have a baby for a couple of years. And the time that all of this happened was after another unsuccessful IVF. So I'm very cautious about talking about this because not only it's very private, but it doesn't only concern me. My husband is also involved in this, and I've talked with him so openly. He's such a sweetheart that he's okay with me talking about this because I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of women here and couples that are trying to conceive, and it is such an exhausting journey. God. Okay. I did not. I was trying to keep it together, but it's so exhausting. So we've been through a lot, and during that time, I was really committed to let the business not drop the business, but I had to. So I did pause the podcast and decided to just focus on what's the most important, which were my family, myself, my husband, and my clients with whom I was committed. I was really committed to supporting them. And to be honest, it was such a relief and so amazing to be able to have my clients that brought me all the joy and on top, despite the stressful times I was going through. So one day, maybe I'll be able to talk more about the journey of conceiving and things like that. But for now, I just wanted to share with you that that was a tough time, and maybe one day I'll be able to talk about it more in details. But for now, I just want to share with you that it is, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have been experiencing this importance of reaching the goals and your commitment to your business. But when life comes along the way, it is so important to be able to be aligned and to take care of ourselves. So because of that, I had decided to keep my business, but still be mindful about my own self-care and my relationship with my husband and work through it, because it was so important that we stick together and that we go through our challenges. Because what has happened once we decided to give up IVF and that we talked through it and we decided that it was just going to be my husband and I, and we've always been so happy in our relationship that it was okay. It's okay. There are a lot of couples that don't have babies, and that's fine. But what has happened is that a few months later, it just brought up so many things that just made it so difficult for me to be able to be focused on other things and be as effective. So that's a little bit of what has happened, but I kind of reached a level of depression through that. And funny enough, if you listen to Tandem Nomads, I just realized, although I did not plan it this way, all the episodes of the beginning of Tandem Nomads podcast 2019 are all around self-care. So I guess while I was working through it, my podcast has actually reflected that very much. Check out the episodes at the beginning of 2019, for example, with Rashmi, with Jody, about mindfulness, Rashmi, who was about food. And she, after that episode, after interviewing her, I actually hired Rashmi, who has helped me work with Ayurvedic food to go through my challenges and my health and improve my state of mind. So it was really amazing journey to be able to work through that. And I have to say, I just want to take this opportunity to make a big shout out to my husband, who's been just the most amazing partner in this. We really went through a lot, him and I, and he has also been through a lot himself, because this is also heavy on him. But we worked it through, and I just think that we're stronger than ever thanks to these challenges. So this is a typical example of how to turn challenges into opportunities. And in all relationships there are ups and downs, but I'm so glad that we could stick together through those tough times. Anyhow, so just wanted to tell you how things just went wrong, and I could not reach all the goals that I wanted to reach. But here are some of the things. Once I got myself back to track, I actually decided to go on holidays in February, and once I was back, I finally felt like, oh my God, this is finally okay. So then I could decide on some changes to make. So first of all, in terms of changes that I made, the first one was priority on self-care. First of all, with self-care was to get help. So please, Nomad Nation, if by any chance you've been through a tough time yourself, don't stay alone in this. Get the support you need, get the help you need. But one thing I want to share with you, and we never talk about that, and I have to reflect more on it. It's not always easy to find help, even when we're ready to get. How to find the right person, how to know if this is the right person. So you will need to have a bit of patience to try out different people, to try out different professional support to get your answers, and that's okay. So sometimes getting help is not something that you get at once. You have to try different people, to try different methods, to be able to find your own solution. So you need to be empowered yourself to advocate for yourself and find the right support that can really support you. And I can't tell you enough the importance of communicating and having a strong rule in the relationship to communicate with kindness and to tell each other and support each other through this journey with transparency, but also there too, get the help if it's necessary. But here's a big decision we made, my husband and I. It was a big aha moment. Because our families all around the world, we realized that we rarely have holidays alone, just him and I. And that's a big decision we decided to change. From now on, we will commit for at least one holiday, just him and I. It's crazy, we are so passionate with what we do that we did not even realize that we rarely have real extended holidays together. Of course, we take weekends here and there, but never holidays. So I hope that sharing my journey with you helps you in your journey. It's so difficult for me to share what I shared with you. But we can't separate business and private life. It's just so related because, our businesses are part of our lives too. And I just hope that these tips here that I'm sharing with you can also help you if by any chance you're going through that. I hope not, but if you are, make sure to take care of yourself, and self-care is so, so important. Now, I'm going to now share with you what I changed inside the business in order to not find myself in this situation anymore where I depend on an assistant and then this person leaves and then I end up with all this work on my hand at the worst time in my life. So, I'm going to recommend you one book that made such a big difference for me to move from being a one-person show to starting slowly building the systems to become a real business and a real company. And there's a lot of resources out there, but this one was so helpful, and it's called The Clockwork from Mike Mikhailovich. So I will share that in the show notes of this episode. If you go to tandemnomads.com/143, I will put the link of this book. So thanks to this book, I've created a whole system inside Tandem Nomads so that I don't have any more issues if a VA leaves and I still don't have the time to pick up and transition and find somebody new. So here is the first thing I've done in terms of systems. First of all, I have decided to split the roles. I do not give all the missions and all the tasks to only one person. I have now a team of 3 to 4 people, depending on the time of the year. But I basically have one person in charge of my back office, managing my website and my content on the website. I have one person in charge of copywriting. So I'm really bad at writing. And I've evolved so much. My husband, who used to be proofreader for me, he's like saying, I don't have a job anymore because I can't proofread for you. But still, I'm still struggling sometimes, and it takes me double the time to write, for example, my newsletter. So I've created a system where I write down the key words and what the key information I want to be written, and then my copywriter fine-tunes it and makes it readable and makes sure that there's no mistakes. So I have a copywriter for that. And then I have a third person who only takes care of my Facebook page and my social media and helps me sometimes with some other administrative tasks. And then finally, I have also a bookkeeper, which I use occasionally just to clean up a little bit and make sure that I'm doing all the bookkeeping properly. So this is the first decision I made, is to split the roles. And now if one person leaves, I don't end up with all this work to be able to have to replace right away. So that's the great thing. And here is the second thing I've done that's been so helpful and has changed everything. I highly recommend this to anyone who has a team or a VA. I mentioned previously this book called The Clockwork. Go to tandemnomads.com/143 and you will be able to find the link of that book there. But here is the big difference that I've learned from this book is the importance, of course, that we don't work in our business, but on our business, and that we make sure that the business is self-sustaining in terms of tasks, even if we're not in it. And in order to be able to do that, it is important to have what is called a standard operation protocol. A standard operation protocol is basically a description of all the steps that you go through in order to create your content, manage your business, and communicate between the different members of the team. Also, how are the tasks separated, who's responsible of what, and most importantly, it is also a protocol, like we say, which means that whoever comes in the team will know directly and right away what are each steps for everyone, thanks to video tutorials or any kind of tutorials that can help the new member jump right into the task and not have a long transition of learning of how to manage their responsibilities. So I've recorded all the steps in Tandem Nomads into video tutorial. I actually did not even do it myself. I had asked my team member to start recording all the steps into video tutorials. And what was interesting and what I was so happy that I've done it, You remember when I told you that I had all these tech issues and then a team member leaving at the worst moment where there's so much work to do? Well, that happened again, but this time I was much more prepared. So when I started, I actually reached out to a VA agency to help me find somebody to take care of some of these tasks that I've described before. And again, while things were still not yet quite smooth, one of the members unfortunately lost two family members and was devastated, which I can completely understand, and just left from a day to another like that. Just sent an email saying, "I'm sorry, I'm gone." And wow, that was really shocking. It was in a time where I was launching a new program, and that was like, how am I going to do this? But I was so happy that the so-called SOP really proved its value, because once I've hired the new member, it only took just a couple of days for this person to be operational. It was just amazing, life-changing. So I highly recommend you, if you have a system, to make sure to break it down into a written protocol, as called, and even if you have video tutorials to explain the process, so that you can really take whoever comes step by step through your process and not have any more to spend that time with that person to show them how it works. It changed everything. So now, one thing though that I'm realizing as the business grows, the standard operation protocol is not as accurate right now anymore, because I've made so many other changes in between. I've improved the system. We also changed our online tools. For example, we've gone through a huge project this summer of transitioning my newsletter tool, or it's called email marketing software. So a lot of changes have happened, and I realized we're going to have to create a systematic way to be able to update this SOP very regularly. So here, this is something that I'm realizing it's kind of dangerous now. For example, if my VA leaves now, then it's going to be tricky. I'm really going to have to update this SOP very soon. Although it will still help, it will still not be as accurate as it was when this person came on the team. So very important to have in your calendar on every quarter, or at least twice a year, really have that moment where you go through your system and see what changed, what improved, and then update all this SOP. This, my friend, Nomad Nation, if you're in that point where you still you have to grow your business and you're hiring people, and even if you only have one VA who helps you, that is gonna be a huge value for you. So check it out. I really recommend you. It just changes the whole thing, and it just made my life so much easier. So can't recommend it enough. And there are other things I've changed in one tool that I highly recommend you. And oh my God, it just made the whole difference. The level and the number of emails I have to manage every day is insane. And if I had on top of it to manage emails with the people who work in my business, it will be endless. So I've discovered this amazing tool called Asana. Asana is a project management tool. And inside Asana, I have broken down all those steps of each project. For example, the production of a podcast episode is broken into these steps. And for each step, you can assign a person who's responsible for it. And you can communicate with each other inside Asana to eliminate all emails. So check it out. This is even if you work on your own, I really highly recommend you to use Asana. I've also used it to create my online course, which I'll get to that also soon. And I have broken down every step of this project of creating the Tandem Nomads Academy into Asana, and it was so helpful to not lose sight of each step and stay focused and effective. So highly recommend. That has changed, again, everything to use a tool like Asana and to create this SOP that is mirrored inside Asana. And then another thing that I've done and I always said is to use automation and to improve my email marketing tools. So that was really great that I've used summertime for all maintenance and updating the back end of the website and the back end. So this is also important. I really highly recommend that once a year you have a moment of cleanup, to clean up your back-end systems and make sure that everything is working, and that automation is another big piece that I started using in my business to be able to have more time to focus on what matters, which are the clients. So today I can say that most of my time is dedicated for clients, and I'm so happy for that, because that's what important, right? I don't want to spend my whole time managing all the administrative and technical aspects of running an online platform. And which leads me to one other thing that I want to celebrate is the number of clients that I could support along this year, despite the fact that I had two big pauses of the podcast during 2019. I had one between December and January and another one in summer. That was something that I've intentionally done, to have a break during the summer that was quite long, because I've also been, like I said, going through a difficult time, but the summer was mostly because I really wanted to be present for my family and my friends, and that was so important for me. So I have paused the podcast, but while doing that, I could really focus on my clients. But thanks to automation, I could continue to repurpose old content so that those of you who still wanted to have inspiration during the summer, you could receive some inspiration by repurposing previous episodes. So this was also something that I really want to celebrate, despite the fact that I had to slow down. Tandem Nomads managed to continue to roll. And most importantly, I could continue to work with my clients, which was fantastic. And here's one more thing. Talking about scaling, if you remember, my goal was to scaling. Here are the two big celebrations that I want to add. First of all, I've tested a group coaching in order to be able to serve more people. I was a little nervous about that because I've never done it. Group coaching, it takes so much attention to just focus on one person, but doing it in a group setting really required that I really reinvent a little bit how I provide the knowledge and provide the guidance to individual people while being in a group setting. And I want to say a big shout out, if you're listening, one of the bootcamp members. It was just an amazing experience. For 6 months, we had this bootcamp program, and it was just so inspiring to watch each of the members grow through it. I have been so thrilled, and today I cannot thank them enough for trusting me through the process, and I absolutely loved and was so inspired by everything they've been achieving and doing along the way. And we're still in touch now. So this is fantastic. And a big celebration that I want to do. And I'm just so thankful that I had this opportunity to work with this group of amazing ladies. And another big win of Tandem Nomads for 2019, which was a huge piece of work, and I'm still in the mix of it and not completely done, but it was the launch officially of Tandem Nomads Academy with the first online course called the Business Idea Accelerator. So the Business Idea Accelerator, you might have already heard about it. I've done it in 2018, but I've done it in a live setting. It was teaching the concepts of how to go from no idea to finding a business idea live. It was a limited number of people that we could take on the group coaching setting. And it was more than just coaching. It was delivering online plus coaching, delivering online content plus coaching live. So the problem with that, Sunday and I were really struggling, is how can we support more people? Because we had more demand, and we basically did not even advertise the second Business Idea Accelerator because we were limited in time and how many people we could serve. So it was so urgent for me to make sure to transform the Business Idea Accelerator into an online course. And that was a huge piece because I needed to find a way to deliver the same results, but in a recorded version where our direct input is not needed anymore. So now that I'm speaking to you, it's the 5th week of the Business Idea Accelerator since we launched, and it is so amazing to be able to watch the already results that the participants of the Business Idea Accelerator course are already having. I'm offering 14 weeks of Q&A on. So the online course is lifetime, but to make sure that they have a great onboarding experience for 14 weeks, I show up live and answer questions. And it's been just an amazing, but I show up live on Facebook Live, and it's no more individual follow-up. People ask their questions, and I just spend half an hour every week to answer them. So you see how I've managed to scale something that was really, really heavy in terms of time and consuming in terms and limiting, in terms of how many people I could serve. And I was so happy that that now I finally managed to do that. And honestly, it's so much work and it's still not done. Now there's a lot of follow-up to do, because while we're going through the BIA, I'm actually fine-tuning the content depending on the feedback that I'm having. The Q&A for me is also a way to judge how it's working on the recorded format. So it's been really, really exciting, and I can't wait to continue this journey with the first members of the Tandem Nomads Academy. And of course, I cannot wait to celebrate with them their wins too. So this is a big chunk that I want to celebrate. And most importantly, and finally, what makes me the most happy and just makes everything so worth it. It's been a hard year, Nomad Nation. It's been a hard year, but I'm first of all so happy that I did not give up. There's so many times I just wanted to just give up everything because I could not, it was just too challenging. However, I'm so happy that I stick to it. And the one reason why I really want to send a big shout out to my clients, because I have to say that without my commitment to supporting them and without them being such amazing people to work with, I don't think I would have been able to stay so motivated. So here is my big shout out and win and thanks is to all of you who have been working with. And for me, the big win is the wonderful transformation that I'm seeing my clients go through. It's just been an amazing year to see the results. So if you're interested in seeing some of these results, I have a webpage, tandemnomads.com/testimonials, where you can see some of these stories. I also interviewed on the podcast some of these clients, but it makes everything so worth it. So yeah, this is basically what I want to celebrate. But I also want to celebrate something that's related to you, Nomad Nation. I've never had as much feedback and as much follow-ups and contacts with you listeners than this year, despite the fact that I've been slowing down. And the number of listeners has been growing in the past months, which is amazing. And for me, this also means so much. So I want to take again this opportunity to thank you for listening. I hope that this episode is helping you. I don't like to rant and talk about myself, but I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen. It means the world to me. And I want to celebrate you and celebrate the fact that we are here together. Thank you so much. And if you want to know more about my goals 2020, I'm just going to summarize them real quick, because that's going to help me later come back to you in a year and see what has happened. And then we'll see. I'll follow up with you on that. But on the personal aspect, my 2020 goals are a lot about getting muscles. I have used to be very strong, and I realized that this past years I had one other big issue. I struggled with carpal tunnel syndrome, which is basically a terrible killing pain in the wrists. And when you're working on your computer, working on deadlines to launch your course, there's nothing worse. So I decided to really put my health at the center of everything. So I will be looking for a trainer and to be able to get more intense training, get more muscles. One holiday with my hubby minimum per year, if not more. And then make sure to also have at least one moment a year. But I'm glad I did it last year, and I'll continue to really focus only on family and friends during at least 1 month or 2 per year. I just want to have a moment where I just focus on the people I love. So that's for 2020. And for for the business side, here are just a little bit of my goals. I'm going to try to summarize them, but I'm going to also bring them up in terms of my 3 C's that I talked at the beginning of this episode. Clarity. So in terms of clarity, I still need to work on how to get closer to my bigger vision to make Tandem Nomads a company and not just a one-person show. This is a long-term project. This is not something that's going to happen in 1 year, but I'm going to try to do more research, but I will do more research to find at least one mentor or one coach who has this experience to be able to transform slowly this business into also a platform, a company that can run without just my input. I'm really fascinated by this and I want to see how to get there. I also, in terms of consistency, I would like to, as I said, revisit my SOP, but also see how I can simplify things. Things are still a little complicated to manage on a daily, weekly basis. So I want to see what I can do to simplify and just to be tangible, because when I talk about goals and teach goal setting, you need to absolutely have very precise goal. For example, when I say simplify, a tangible example is reduce the time of production of each episode to 2 hours maximum. Each episode takes me up to 4 hours. This is insane. I need to find a way to get more productive with this. So I want by the end of 2020 that I do not spend more than 2 hours per episode between the preparation and the production and then the post-production. And finally, I want to look at assessing my costs again, going through my financials and see how I can improve productivity, but also profitability, because my costs have increased obviously with having more people in the business. And I want to make sure that I'm assessing my resources properly. In terms of conversion, here is the big thing that I absolutely need to know. I mean, there's one thing I'm quite ashamed of is my website and not even having a services page. So the big goal for 2020 is to have my website revamped with my 3 funnels really very distinct and clear on the website of Tandem Nomads. And hopefully in this one, I'm going to be mindful about my health and energy, but I really do want to launch the second level of the Tandem Nomads Academy, which is the second level course. After the BIA, it will be the Business Launch Accelerator for those who have a business but don't know what to do next. So I want to be able to scale that, to scale how many people I can serve who are in this situation while keeping the quality and while keeping the level of impact I can provide. So these are some of the goals of 2020 that I want to share with you, and the most important ones. I have a whole list of them, but also they're all related to these 3 categories that I just shared with you in terms of clarity, consistency, and conversion. I want to end this episode just real quick with some of the big learning lessons that I had here. The most important is listen to your body, listen to your guts, and get help, Nomad Nation. If you're in a moment where you're struggling personally or professionally, it is so important to not stay alone and make sure to get the help. I want to say big thank you to all of those who have been supporting me along this journey. And one person in particular who was a rush me, I will put her episode interview on Tandem Nomads. Her support through food just changed my whole energy, and I was so grateful to her for her support. Nomad Nation, I want to thank you once more for being part of my journey. Thank you for listening. And I hope that you can take a moment now to work on your goals, and maybe you want to also go through this process of first assessing what has happened the previous year, what you've learned from it, and how you're going to use that to set up your new goals for 2020. Take that moment. I really think it is important to pause and think about these things. And as I said, if you listen to this podcast while it's aired, the week it is aired, you're going to be able to join me on a live call to be able to discuss your goals and also be able to exchange with other members of the Tandem Nomads Academy. So make sure to go to tandemnomads.com/143 and sign up before November 26, 2019, so that you can join this live call. If not, I still want you to take a moment and really think about this, and you can always reach out to me in the comment section if you have any questions with your goals. I'd love to hear, what are your goals? So please go to tandemnomads.com/143 and leave in the comments, what is your goal for 2020 and how are you planning to reach that? I can't wait to stay in touch with you, Nomad Nation. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your journey and for allowing me to share mine with you today. It's been really special, and these 4 years have been just amazing, and I really look forward for the next upcoming years together. Please, Nomad Nation, don't ever forget to always turn your challenges into great opportunities. I truly mean it when I say it. So see you in the next episode, and stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.